Welcome back to Proline. Week 4. We have 4 big games to talk about, 2 in college and 2 in pro as usual. And we have some interesting segments along the way and the best bets at the end. Last week, Dave had a big play on Georgia, one easy for his clients. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about Georgia because they host Mississippi State, who's been a bit of a disappointment. And if you go back and look at the records, both these teams are disappointing ATS in conference games, Dave.
Well, you know, the interesting thing, and Georgia was a big play. I had it for my September college game of the month, so I was very happy with that result against Ole Miss. Picking on Ole Miss, Houston Nutt probably on his way out. It's not that I'm enamored with the Georgia Bulldogs, because this team is underachieved on a regular basis under Mark Richt, who is also on the hot seat. I know the guys on ESPN will say, oh, you know, they should... They're ex-coaches. They don't ever want to see any coach get fired. Fact is, Mark Richt has come up short with the Georgia Bulldogs. But his team is capable. This is a team that's got some talent on it. There's no question about that. And Mississippi State, I think, got a little bit overrated coming into the season off how much progress they made last year under Dan Mullen. They've still got some flaws. I think they'll be better than they were last week. They had, it was a game where you wanted to see them bounce back. They put a lot into the LSU game, came up short, and they weren't ready to play last week and struggled badly with Louisiana Tech. Got the win in overtime, but that's not a good thing. But nevertheless, we're seeing that other defenses, opposing defenses, are finding a way to make Ralph throw the football. He's really not very good when he has to do that. He's a quarterback who's better with his legs than with his arm. And Georgia has a little positive momentum at this point. I think they'll stub their toe again at some point, but it won't be until Georgia has kind of teased us to the point, well, you know, boy, they're really good. And then they'll have a big game and they'll fall apart, because that's what they do. This one doesn't fall into that realm, Jim. I think Georgia's going to get there. I don't think they'll crush Mississippi State, but they don't have to cover the line. I think they'll win by 10 points.
Well, that is close to the line. We're looking at 7 and 53. You have any opinion on the over and under?
No, I'll be happy with the side.
Well, actually, favor the over in this game. I think you'll see some points, both offensive and defensive points scored. I tend to agree with you on Georgia, but I'm not really that high on the game. We're going to come right back. We have another big college game to talk about.
I won my September college game of the month last Saturday with Georgia, and this Saturday I'm right back with my October college game of the month. It's once again completely guaranteed. You got to get the money, or you get 2 full weeks free on me, and the cost, once again, just $25. You want one big game? Here it is. Make the call to 1-866-841-1665. Get my college game of the month and get set to collect again.
I'm kicking off October with one of my high roller moneymakers. And the best part of this is you don't have to pay for it until after it wins. It's a $500 value game. I'm going to charge your card $1 and then $49 after it cashes. This is the same game that the biggest players in the country put a lot of money on, and you can have it for $1 down, $49 after it cashes. That's right. This is a high roller moneymaker that will win this Saturday. You want to be on board? This is a great offer. 1-866-841-1655. Remember, it's a $500 value. The biggest players in the world will be on this game, and you can get it for $1 down, $49 after it wins. You pay nothing if it doesn't win, but it will win. Call 1-866-841-1655. This is a very interesting game. On one side, you have Baylor, who's undefeated, the Baylor Bears, and they're going against Kansas State Wildcats, undefeated as well. Robert Griffin, the quarterback for Baylor, has thrown more touchdown passes than incompletions. Now, usually you talk about touchdowns versus interceptions. Not now. We're talking incompletions. It's amazing. I don't think I've ever seen that stat before. Both teams are playing very well. We got Baylor, 3.5-point favorite on the road, maybe 3 in some spots, and the total is 63.5. Guys, what do you think?
Well, you know, Jim, forgive me for being a jaded sports fan, just thinking about what we talked about last week with the realignment. You know, one day this could be a huge Big East Conference battle.
in Manhattan, no less.
Yeah, in Manhattan, right. I mean, this is just... Anyway, but right now we're talking the Big 12 Conference. You know, Jim, I've got to look at the Baylor Bears here. You know, Robert Griffin's been terrific. Their high-octane offense averaging 51 points a game, and they catch Kansas State in a real vulnerable spot. Last week, the Wildcats go into Miami, and they upset the Hurricanes as a 12-point underdog. And what we see year after year, teams pull big upsets, they come home, and they fall flat on their face. It's exactly the opposite of what is intuitive. We saw that last week with Wyoming against Nebraska. Wyoming pulled a big upset the week before. They come back home, they get flattened by the Cornhuskers. And I researched it in my database, and if you get a team with a 333 or better win percentage coming home without rest off an upset win as a double-digit dog, these teams are 63 and 103 against the spread, provided they're not favored by 7 points or more. I think it's all Baylor here. I'm going to lay the short price.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that, but I do like the total in this game. And when you're looking at the contest between these two teams, you're thinking there's going to be plenty of offense. You know, I had Kansas State last week, plus the points against Miami at Smash Mouth Sports, and we got the victory. Now they're coming home. Here's the thing I don't like about Kansas State. First of all, it looks like somebody turned the clock back a decade. You've got Bill Snyder as the head coach, even though he's 97 years old. You've got Kansas State opening up with a couple of cream puffs, and then going on the road and surprising a team. Now they're 3-0. Do you think the executives at ABC were actually sitting there back in July going, ooh, Baylor at Kansas State. This one's on at 12:30 Pacific time on ABC, which it is. So it's just amazing that these two teams are going to be hooking up on ABC TV, but give the credit where it's due. Snyder has done a fantastic job, again, in a hurry of turning this program back on the right foot. And then you've got the Baylor Bears. Art Briles comes in, and he's really turned this team around. And, of course, Robert Griffin has a lot to do with it. Watching Kansas State last season, though, they matched up against Nebraska, and they were undefeated at the time. But I saw something leading into that game. Real slow on defense, and I mean slow. And we saw a dual-threat quarterback, Taylor Martinez, who was at least dual-threat quarterback at that time, what he was able to do against Kansas State. Nebraska goes into Manhattan, wins the game 48-13, and now they got to face Robert Griffin. Remember, Taylor Martinez makes horrible decisions in the passing game, but he makes up for it with a terrible arm. So, but as far as Griffin, this guy can run, he can throw. As Jim mentioned, more touchdowns than incompletions. Amazing statistic thus far. I think you're going to see both teams moving up the ball up and down the field, both teams scoring a lot of points. That Baylor defense gave up 441 total yards per game against two of their opponents, Rice and TCU. I think they're going to give up a lot of yardage and points in this one, but so will Kansas State's defense. I'm playing the over between Baylor and K-State.
Well, look at this. Last year, Baylor won 47-42. That would be over this number, 63.5. Great statistics for the over, by the way. And the execs on TV, they were actually watching the wardrobe malfunction by Nancy Grace.
Oh, jeez.
We're going to come back and we're going to talk about some betting information, and then we're going to talk about two great pro football games.
Hi, I'm Big Al McMorty, and my Vegas strip moves continue to be the talk of the town. Last week, 2-0 again, including our guaranteed Game of the Month winner, and we're 6-1 this year after going 31-8 last season. That's 37-9 combined. This week, it gets even better, as our Vegas strip move is absolutely free, and it's out of a 100% perfect 23-0 system. Get the 24th winner in a row, toll-free, 866-896-1628. Call 866-896-1628 right now.
We cashed another Proline package last weekend with a winning top 5 countdown. Hi, I'm Scott Spreitzer, and today I'm releasing my college football Conference Annihilator Game of the Year for only $10. I'm 80% winners with my signature Annihilators this season, and I've won over 60% of these plays, not for a month, not for a season, but lifetime. These plays go for $500 online, but today and today only, the Conference Annihilator Game of the Year is yours for only $10. Call 1-866-896-1627. That's 1-866-896-1627. Grab the $500 Game of the Year winner for only $10. I look to extend this season's run to 83% winners. You don't want to miss out.
Before we get to our pro games that we're going to discuss, and they're very good games to talk about, got a couple of betting situations that I want to talk about. When a line is 55 and the spread is 7, or the line is, the total I'm talking about, 38 and the line is 7, is there a statistical fact, and I know Al has the answers on this, where the 7 stands up better for the underdog when the total is lower than higher? Logically, I would say yes, because it's a bigger percentage of the overall projected number of points, Al.
Yeah, well, actually, it's a complete myth, and we hear this all the time with the guys we talk to, in the casinos and whatnot. You hear all the time, hey, I'm going to take the points. The total in the game's only 34. I'm going to lay the points. It's going to be a high-scoring game, so I'm more comfortable laying a big number when there's going to be a projected 50, points scored. But when you look at the numbers, it just doesn't hold at all, and there's really no correlation. And I looked at the number 34, for the low total, because I think that's really the key number there. And the dogs, when the line is 34 or less, or 176 and 170 against a spread, doesn't make a difference at all, really. Double-digit underdogs. Thought maybe that could work? No. 22 and 20 against a spread, just a wash. With high over-under lines, take a look at games where the over-under is 50 or higher. Favorites, 85 and 80 against a spread. Double-digit favorites, do they do better? Absolutely not. 14 and 16 against the spread. So really, just forget about all that stuff when you're analyzing the game and just focus on one part of the equation, not both.
I guess we just throw logic out the window there, because I would have thought statistically it would have favored the underdog if the low total was there, and the opposite would be with the high total. This is a topsy-turvy type of league. Now let's look at this. We have two undefeated teams at this point. We have the Bills, 3-0, and you have the Lions, 3-0. Last year, I think the Bills started out 0-8 straight up. I mean, the league is totally turned around, and we've had the last to first type of league. We all just have to pick out what team that was terrible last year is now going to go to the Super Bowl this year. One of these teams, or maybe both of them, could end up there. Interesting league. We've got some issues on both teams. They're both not solid in every position, but they do look for real.
This is why I like the NFL more than the other professional sports, because you have that opportunity for 4-12 to be 10-6 and be in the playoff race the very next season. Detroit and Buffalo, the two teams that you just mentioned, are off to fantastic starts. I think Detroit's the better team overall, and I think by the end of the season you're going to see Detroit going deep into the playoffs as long as guys like Matthew Stafford stay healthy, where I don't think Buffalo is going to be in the mix for the entire football season. Now, they do a good job between Fitzpatrick at quarterback, who makes great decisions. You should suspect that he would, or expect that he would, being a Harvard grad. And he matches up with Stevie J real well. These two guys are on the same page in the passing game. Fred Jackson, still an underrated running back despite the great start. But last week, it was one of those things where Tom Brady just finally had a flat spot, just had a horrible game, and they turn a 21-3 lead into a loss. That's 2 weeks in a row now that the Buffalo Bills have come back from 21-3 deficits to win. And in both situations, it had as much to do with the other team falling apart as it did with the Buffalo Bills playing solid football. Oakland, coming off a Monday night game, looked totally worn out in the fourth quarter, and then last week, as I mentioned, Brady having the bad game. But hey, can't be surprised about Detroit. And Ndamukong Suh said in the offseason, we're going 16-0. Watch out, Miami Dolphins. Little did we know that he was probably going to be right. No, but they're not going to go 16-0. But as long as Stafford stays healthy, this is a very solid football team, Dave. I know you're going to, the mail's going to come in on this one, but Detroit has a very good shot at going to the Super Bowl this year. Mark my words on this one.
They're good. And look, Detroit won its last 4 games last year. So they've actually got a real nice winning streak going now. And Buffalo, they lost 3 games in overtime last year. So they weren't that far away from being a decent football team. And you do see a lot of worst to firsts in the NFL. But you also then have the NFC West that you can enter into the equation, where it looks like, from worst to worst. It looked very much like they're going to have another sub-500 team winning that division. I think, based on what I've seen the first couple weeks, I think San Francisco, can you believe it? San Francisco might be the best team in that division, because at least they have a defense. Yeah. Seattle, boy, they're not good at all. St. Louis is beat up and looking like last year was kind of they may have taken 2 steps forward last year from where they were, and now they're stepping backward a little bit. In Arizona, can't play defense. And their ground game is still shaky. San Francisco by default. So that's the bad part of the NFL. That's the part they don't want to focus on. Is that with the alignments they have. I think you're going to have a division like this almost every year, where there's one of the 8 divisions that just flat out sucks. And right now, that cycle is definitely NFC West, Jim.
So what you're saying, you had something you want to say?
I was just going to say, and what it also does is it kind of makes the division, the opposite conference, look strong. The AFC North, Pittsburgh and Baltimore are going to have inflated records this year. They get to play Cincy and Cleveland twice. They get to play the Western teams from the NFC 1 time each. I mean, those are 6, very easy opponents.
Stay focused, and you're probably going to win.
That's right. Pittsburgh and Baltimore are going to end up with great records this year, not because they're necessarily a great team.
So the consensus is, if the NFC West would draft Stanford into their division, they'd have actually one good team. We're going to come right back. We have two great football games to talk about. I'm kicking off October with one of my high roller moneymakers. And the best part of this is you don't have to pay for it until after it wins. It's a $500 value game. I'm going to charge your card $1 and then $49 after it cashes. This is the same game that the biggest players in the country put a lot of money on, and you can have it for $1 down, $49 after it cashes. That's right. This is a high roller moneymaker that will win this Saturday. You want to be on board? This is a great offer. 1-866-841-1655. Remember, it's a $500 value. The biggest players in the world will be on this game, and you can get it for $1 down, $49 after it wins. You pay nothing if it doesn't win, but it will win. Call 1-866-841-1655.
We cashed another Proline package last weekend with a winning top 5 countdown. Hi, I'm Scott Spreitzer, and today I'm releasing my college football Conference Annihilator Game of the Year for only $10. I'm 80% winners with my signature Annihilators this season, and I've won over 60% of these plays, not for a month, not for a season, but lifetime. These plays go for $500 online, but today and today only, the Conference Annihilator Game of the Year is yours for only $10. Call 1-866-896-1627. That's 1-866-896-1627. Grab the $500 Game of the Year winner for only $10. I look to extend this season's run to 83% winners. You don't want to miss out.
Two very interesting games to talk about. The first one, we're going to talk about the Titans at the Browns. Now, granted, these aren't the best teams in the NFL.
Really?
Okay, Dave chirped in. Really? He's right. They're not. But it is interesting. Tennessee played a pretty inspired game once Denver tried to get into the end zone last week, and they didn't make it. They felt disrespected, and they really came on, and they ended up winning that game. But that's Denver. Now they go to Cleveland. Cleveland's not that great a football team. Up and coming. I like the coach. I like the general manager. The quarterback seems like he's manageable. But you got Hasselbeck on the other side, who's a proven quarterback, a proven champion. But they lost Kenny Britt, and Chris Johnson. He got his $53 million. You know what that do? That's weighing him down, because this guy's got 98 yards in 3 games, folks. He used to average like 200 a game. I don't know if he comes back this year. He missed the entire camp. That's always a mess. Dave, how do you see this game?
Well, he is catching the ball, so he's doing some damage through the air. And Hasselbeck, he's been impressive. This guy's still a good quarterback.
Very impressive
when he's healthy. The flip side of it is Colt McCoy. I don't know. I think he's okay. You know, he's made for the West Coast offense, which they're running. But he's got certain limitations, and you can almost count on him making one really bad throw at some point where he just doesn't get enough air under the ball or something. You know, the one thing we saw last week, and this was inevitable, was the correction to the norm. After 2 weeks, the overs were going nuts in the NFL. I mean, just everything's going over the total, and sure enough, the game started to trend back under last week. Odds makers adjusted, and we saw a lot of unders, including the games that these two teams were involved in, which both ended up in the 30s. I think this game is going to be in the 30s as well. I just can't see a lot of points. The Britt injury, you mentioned Jim, boy, that's big for Tennessee. I mean, he might be a nitwit off the field, but on the field, the guy's a heck of a football player, and that's going to compromise their offense. And Cleveland's offense, well, it just isn't that good. They'll have Hillis back for this game. They sent him home last week. He was sick. But I think what we saw out of Hillis last year, not really the norm there either. So I think you've got, it's not that they're two great defenses, but I think the two offenses are kind of limited here. Hasselbeck can blow this up, so it's not going to be a strong play or strong. It's not going to be on the surface for me. But opinion, Al, I think I'd go under in this game.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm going to look at the Tennessee Titans here. The one thing I'm not going to do is put my hard-earned money on the Cleveland Browns. I mean, last week, depending on what number you got, could have determined whether you won or lost that bet. Cleveland actually opened up as the favorite against Miami. By game time, Cleveland ended up the home underdog, and they won that ball game 17-16. But if you look beneath the score and just look at the stats, Cleveland was outgained in that ball game by the Dolphins by 89 yards. That doesn't bode well here. Also, look at what Tennessee's done. Last week, Tennessee didn't cover against Denver, but they still outgained the Broncos by 102 yards. The previous week, even more impressive against a very good Ravens squad. They outgained Baltimore by 203 yards. This is a Tennessee team that, in my opinion, by the end of the year, might be better than people expect. And of course, as you mentioned, Dave, once Chris Johnson gets his legs under him by the end of the year, he could be back to the form he was in the past couple of seasons. I'm going to take a look here at Tennessee. I like the price. It's a short price. And if you take a look in the NFL over the past 32 years, how teams do off a home dog win, if they're also off back-to-back wins, these teams stumble, going 110 and 146 against the spread. Slight advantage to the Titans here. I'm going to take Tennessee against the number.
Do those stats? How do those stats change if you take that home dog, Tennessee last week, and then put them on the road and make them a favorite?
They don't change at all. It still works. Because
it is possible. I mean, the game's sitting at pick, and the disrespect that the Browns are getting because of all the things that you just pointed out, and Hasselbeck over McCoy is obvious. Titans could end up a 2-point favorite just like Miami did last week, so you'd be looking at a road favorite. The loss of Kenny Britt, I sort of favor the under as well, like Dave pointed out. It's a tough spot, but Kenny Britt's a big loss. That's going to be hard to overcome. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about one of those teams that's 3-0 on the road as a favorite. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Big Al McMorty, and my Vegas strip moves continue to be the talk of the town. Last week, 2-0 again, including our guaranteed Game of the Month winner, and we're 6-1 this year after going 31-8 last season. That's 37-9 combined. This week, it gets even better as our Vegas strip move is absolutely free, and it's out of a 100% perfect 23-0 system. Get the 24th winner in a row, toll free, 866-896-1628. Call 866-896-1628 right now.
I won my September College Game of the Month last Saturday with Georgia, and this Saturday I'm right back with my October College Game of the Month. It's once again completely guaranteed. You got to get the money or you get 2 full weeks free on me. And the cost, once again, just $25. You want one big game? Here it is. Make the call to 1-866-841-1665. Get my College Game of the Month and get set to collect again.
Well, earlier we talked about a couple teams that are 3-0. We're talking about one right here. The Buffalo Bills down 21-3 to Oakland 2 weeks ago. Come back and they win. Great game to watch. Last week they play New England. They're at home. They're down 21-0. They come back in the second half. They pick off Brady 4 times. 4 times. I mean, he didn't have 4 interceptions all of last year. 4 times in one game. They come back. They win the game with no time on the clock on a field goal. Buffalo had to be sky high. They had a party in the streets, and had probably the biggest party in Buffalo since New Year's Eve. Now they got to go to the Bengals. This team sucks. Okay, that's the bottom line. There are some bad teams in the NFL, and this is one of them. Now, I kind of like Dalton. I think he's a smart kid. I think he's going to grow into a pretty good quarterback. But he plays for a team that Carson Palmer doesn't even want to know and don't want to be there anymore because they're managed so poorly. They're constantly in trouble. Their players are I mean, what are they doing over there? This is like Jailbird City sometimes. And Buffalo should win this game in a landslide, talent-wise, motivation-wise, skill-wise, everything goes. But they're coming off an emotional high. They're favored on the road. The line should probably go to 4 by game time. How do you analyze this game?
You don't. Let's move on. No, I'm kidding. It's funny you talked about Jailbird City with the Cincinnati Bengals. I used to have my late night blowout, and after watching Cincinnati off the field and stuff, I started calling it my bailout blowout. And but you mentioned how do you handicap this? I start with an Al thing here, and basically favorites off of divisional underdog outright wins at home have been horrible in the NFL for a long time, and that's the situation, obviously, that the Buffalo Bills are in this one. Cedric Benson, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? You know what? I don't think it's that big of a difference because Bernard Scott's a pretty nice running back. But I had the under in last week's Cincinnati-San Francisco game, so I was very happy with the 13-8 outcome. And, of course, San Fran wins because they outscored Cincinnati 5-0 on Rouges. But the bottom line of this one, guys, this is a great spot to go against the Buffalo Bills until you look at who they're playing. And because of that, sometimes the best bet is no bet. As much as I want to jump in here and pluck my money down on the Cincinnati Bengals, I just can't do it. My best advice, pass the game. There's better games out there, sides and totals, all Sunday long in the NFL.
There might be an angle here later in the week. Information comes in about how they're practicing and focusing and things like that.
Who got arrested?
But right now, who got arrested, right? Right now, I'm going to pass the game as well. I don't even know why we're talking about this game because we're both passing.
Carson Palmer and us.
Sorry,
We're all
folks.
passing.
We're going to come back with best bets. Maybe we'll make up for this segment in the next segment.
We cashed another Proline package last weekend with a winning top 5 countdown. Hi, I'm Scott Spreitzer, and today I'm releasing my college football Conference Annihilator Game of the Year for only $10. I'm 80% winners with my signature Annihilators this season, and I've won over 60% of these plays, not for a month, not for a season, but lifetime. These plays go for $500 online, but today and today only, the Conference Annihilator Game of the Year is yours for only $10. Call 1-866-896-1627. That's 1-866-896-1627. Grab the $500 Game of the Year winner for only $10. I look to extend this season's run to 83% winners. You don't want to miss out.
I'm kicking off October with one of my high roller moneymakers. And the best part of this is you don't have to pay for it until after it wins. It's a $500 value game. I'm going to charge your card $1 and then $49 after it cashes. This is the same game that the biggest players in the country put a lot of money on. And you can have it for $1 down, $49 after it cashes. That's right. This is a high roller moneymaker that will win this Saturday. You want to be on board? This is a great offer. 1-866-841-1655. Remember, it's a $500 value. The biggest players in the world will be on this game, and you can get it for $1 down, $49 after it wins. You pay nothing if it doesn't win, but it will win. Call 1-866-841-1655. And now for some very strong best bets. Al?
Well, my best bet, it's an easy one. I'm going to go against the Cleveland Browns. We're going to take the Tennessee Titans on Sunday as the best bet. Your best bet. Get on board for my red-hot Vegas strip move play out of a 23-0 ATS system on Saturday. The 24th winner in a row is absolutely free. How hot are these plays? Last week, we swept the board again. 6-1 this year, 31-8 last year, 37-9 combined. Call 866-896-1628. Get our Vegas strip move play absolutely free. 866-896-1628. Dave?
I'm going to go to the SEC, the Mississippi State-Georgia game. I think Georgia gets there by double digits. They're only laying actually a little less than a touchdown as we do this. So I will take Georgia minus the points for my best bet. And, of course, Georgia was very good to me last week. I used it for my college game of the month, September game of the month, and they got the win in money against Ole Miss. I have my October college game of the month going this Saturday. I don't want to wait. I want to come right back with something strong because the schedule offered it. It's as simple as that. This is a really good-looking schedule, and I was able to find that one really strong game. So if you're looking for that one strong game, it's $25. It's completely guaranteed. You get 2 full weeks of service. This game's got to get the money. You're playing free on me for 2 full weeks. So take advantage of it. Make the call to 1-866-841-1665 and get the game for only $25. My October college game of the month. How about you, Scott?
Hey, for my best bet, I'm going to Al's Big East Battle in Manhattan. I'm taking Baylor and Kansas State to go over the total. Your best bet, give me a call. A big conference signature annihilator game of the year. These plays go for $500 online. You can get it for $10 if you call me on Saturday toll free at 1-866 896-1627. Hey, we swept last weekend in college and pro football, including the easy win with the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday. 80% winners with these plays so far this season. Over 60% winners, not for a month, not for a season, lifetime with my Signature Annihilators. $500 online. The Conference Signature Annihilator Game of the Year is yours for just $10. Call 1-866-896-1627.
Well, you and Al are both geographically challenged, for sure. This Big East game
among other things.
among other things. But as far as this game analysis, I like Baylor, Kansas State over the total as well. It flies over the total. And I have a big offer, a high roller game, $500 play. But you can get this game for $1. That's right. And then when it wins, and it will, another $49. So make the call, 1-866-841-1655. It's a high roller game, a $500 play. The biggest players in the entire country will be on this game this Saturday. And it's yours for $1 down, $49 if it wins, and it will win. I'm on it. My big players are on it, and I want you to be on it as well. Make the call, 1-866-841-1655. And we will be back next week with more big analysis, a few jokes here and there, and lots of great games.